Hey cats, it's Ed, very tired due to a gig last night, Bud. Thanks for tuning in and supporting the channel, it's much appreciated. After weeks of dropping loads of half marathon target pace miles into my training, I decided it was time to mix it up a little bit. I had a bash at a 5k time trial, and here's how I got on. Thanks for joining me here on Eddbud Running Shoe Reviews. It's always appreciated. Please do hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and also the bell for notifications of when we launch those new videos for you. And please leave this video a thumbs up like, also it really helps the channel out. I hadn't run a 5k time trial since about November of 2020, so it's been a long time coming. That day, at least by my Garmin, I logged a 19:59. We had wet and slippery conditions that day. It was part of the ASICS World Ekiden event that I took part in with some other shoe tubers. Both Garmin and Strava had it at about 19:59, so I'll take that. So long overdue 5k time trial, here's how I got on. Took a mile warm up at relatively easy pace, but threw in some harder efforts a little later on. Some bursts or surges, I suppose you might call them, just to get that heart rate up a little bit. Onto the time trial, and I managed a 19:36. All the splits on or below 4 minutes per kilometre. So really pleased with that. I always find that I go out too quick on a 5k. That first one, I just blast it far too hard. So to help prevent that from happening this time, I use the Pace Pro feature on my Garmin Forerunner 245. That enabled me to maintain and regulate the effort a little better. I did set the goal time at 19:40, and the watch screen was really useful to see where I was in terms of that actual target time. Really good average pace there of 3 minutes 56 per kilometre, and look at my pacing over Strava and Garmin, and also I used my Kuros watch too. The results are nice and consistent across each kilometre. It's really very pleasing to look at that. I don't know about you guys, but I always find the toughest kilometre within a 5k the middle one. That third kilometre, it's that mental kind of barrier that you have to break through. That was made a little easier for me by my route on the Saturday. There's a big large fence at my turnaround point, which for some reason was open. I don't know why it was open. It meant I didn't have to slalom through that section. I could actually continue on a little further, and there was a bit more room to kind of turn around. There's a switch back at that point, and that did save me a little bit of time. I could kind of arc my way round rather than just quickly turn. Last couple of kilometres were nice and consistent once again. Setting that Pace Pro feature up was really useful on this run. You can slope the effort steadily upwards, so you can start off a little easier and then build up, and that's perfect for me. Always seems to take me 2 or 3 miles to get up to my sort of optimum speed, certainly within a race. So I think in the future, if I was going to do anything differently, I'd actually make the warm-up a little bit more intense, just to get that heart rate raised up a little bit more. So that 5k race pace of mine is getting a little bit more consistent over time, and I'm really happy to get a sub 20 minute under my belt on my own as well, without any physical pacers around me, on a course with a very distinct turnaround as well. Those double backs aren't easy. It's very easy not to go back up to your full speed. I think if you're on a looped course, it would be a little bit easier. So average heart rate here of 155 beats per minute, though you can see it did start to creep up as I got into that upper part of my threshold pace towards the end. I think it was around about 2.2 miles in. So that's a slightly lower average from when I did that time trial back in November 2020, though a similar maximum heart rate recorded overall. Is a slightly higher average cadence as well overall of 186 steps per minute in comparison to the time trial back in November. So lots of very small improvements here that have all added up to a much improved time over the 5k. I know there's people that can run sub 16 minute 5ks out there. I'm not getting any younger, but I'm really pleased to get under 20 minutes. So I did opt for the Vaporfly Next Percent 2 on my 5k time trial rather than my favourite Adios Pro 2. Why is that? Well, mainly a part comparative test. I did race in that shoe over the 10k distance a few weeks back, but overall I just fancied a rip-roaring, fast, fun 5k in this beautiful shoe. Grip was good on the concrete and stony paths, and very few turns to worry about whatsoever, although I find the Next Percent a little more stable than that 4% Flyknit. I'm pretty sure that recorded race PB was in the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit. Having this in hand, it reminds me just how beautiful a shoe it is. It's mega light as well. Always remember the drop, a little bit more aggressive perhaps, than the Next Percent. And I just love the upper as well. It really stands out, this shoe. Not sure the current versions of the Next Percent stand out so much. Or maybe that's just because they're more readily available now. I can remember the excitement of picking this shoe up actually when I finally managed to get a pair. I think I dithered around a little bit when they first released them and put one in the basket, and then it wasn't available, and then suddenly somebody must have emptied their basket and it was again. So yeah, I was glad to get it. Maybe I'll go for a run in these again at some point and see how they feel. Conditions were bone dry out there on the Saturday, and there's no need to worry about any standing water anywhere. It's very quick mile paces recorded there. Not my fastest, but I managed to keep them consistent over time, which is something I'm really pleased about. I do get the feeling though with the Next Percent 2 upper that I probably could get away with a half size down from this one. This is a UK 11.5. If I was going to race a 5 or 10k, I think I can probably get away with an 11. I think over the half distance or a marathon, I'd probably want that extra bit of toe box room. But on a shorter race, I think I could probably get away with it. I think it's just a bit more structure to the toe box here that you didn't get in the first version of the Next Percent. There was a lack of any structure really in the toe box whatsoever, aside from the rubber outsole section that just creeps across over the top of the toe box. Here, with that reinforcement around the edge of the toe box, you don't really need the extra room on those shorter distances. I always found the Vaporweave was just creeping up around my toes and actually left me with a couple of bruised toes at one point. There's vastly more room here, and I think I might grab another pair if I'm going to race a 5 or 10k in a size 11 UK or US size 12. Only if a version appears though that I really like. And that's happened. You guys know I love my rock and roll and rockabilly music, and I noticed they're going to launch a new Blue Ribbon Sports version of the Next Percent 2 with tiger print stripes on the reinforced section around the toe box. Imagine Brian Setzer rocking these, holding his Gretsch guitar with his Fender amplifiers behind him. I think a black leather jacket might weigh you down a little bit though on a 5k time trial. I like the faint swoosh on the toe box as well, and the rear lateral heel logo too. The tongue looks fire as well, don't you think guys? It really looks nice. I just hope that Beast isn't upset about me thinking about purchasing a pair of these. She's the king of the felines in my house, or you could say the top cat. Hopefully these will launch relatively soon. I really want to pick up a pair. I think racing a 5 or 10k warrants having these shoes. I haven't really liked any of the other colourways that they've put out of the Vaporfly Next Percent 2 so far. I'm glad these have come along just at the right moment. What do you make of them guys? Let me know down in the comments. So really pleased with my 5k effort, chopping off a few more seconds, and it felt good actually. It would be interesting to see what I could produce in a race environment with some other people around me. There was just the typical dog walkers and people I always see while I'm out running. They thought I'd completely lost my mind because I was flying past them at the fastest I could go. Pretty much matching my recorded race PB for that distance with only my watch to pace me. So, gotta be pleased with that. What's your 5k PB? Maybe it's on a park run, maybe it's in a race, maybe it was just on a run. Let us know down in the comments guys. Musical interlude time. All this talk of rock and roll has reminded me how much I love the Stray Cats. Everybody knows the 3 big tracks from the Stray Cats: Runaway Boys, Rock This Town and the Stray Cat Strut. I always really liked Rumble in Brighton, that was one of my favourites. Really quite aggressive rockabilly number. Superb soloing in that one from Brian Setzer. Some of their later stuff as well is really good. There's a great song called Blast Off, and Gene and Eddie as well. Really love that track. It kind of features all the best bits of Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran tunes put together. Brian Setzer kind of mixes them all up into a compilation track celebrating, you know, 2 of those amazing rock and rollers from back in the day. It could be that you've never heard of the Stray Cats or Brian Setzer before. Go and check him out. One of the most gifted rock and roll guitar players ever. Okay, thanks for sticking with me to the very end of today's video. Lots coming up this next week guys. I think somebody must have been tuning in and watching the musical interludes because companies are sending me loads of pairs of headphones to review. Hence why I'm going through loads of old stuff so I can compare the headphones in terms of the sound quality. If you're running, you want to be able to experience the tracks in their truest form. If the songs don't sound right or they're missing certain areas of the frequency spectrum, then they're just not going to pass muster. There's a couple of shoe reviews coming up very soon as well, one from Reebok. And we've also got some running apparel to review from Tribe Sports, so make sure you stay tuned, lock that dial. Well, we're not on radio, but you know what I mean. If you haven't done so already, guys, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications when we roll out those new videos for you. And it really helps out in terms of the YouTube algorithm if you give this video a thumbs up like and also share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud and I'll be seeing you